Hello and welcome. A storm is gathering in the Horn of Africa, and it's being fueled by some incredibly dangerous words. Recently, Ethiopian Field Marshal Birhanu, Jula, made a statement that should send a shiver down the spine of anyone who cares about international peace and stability. He argued that it's not fair and shameful that Ethiopia, with a future population of 200 million, lacks sea access while a neighboring country with just 2 million people has it. This thinly veiled reference to Eritrea isn't just political posturing. It's a direct threat to the very foundations of international law, and it carries chilling echoes of the kind of rhetoric that has preceded mass atrocities. Today, we're going to break down why this statement is so alarming, looking at it from both a political and a legal perspective. First, let's talk about the core of the Field Marshal's argument. He's essentially saying that a big country's needs and wants can legally and morally override the sovereign rights of a smaller one. This idea, which we can call demographic imperialism, is a complete rejection of the entire international system built after World War II. The United Nations Charter, the bedrock of modern international law, is founded on one key principle: the sovereign equality of all nations, big or small. Article 2, Section 4 of the Charter is crystal clear. It prohibits the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. There is no exception clause for countries with large populations. No fine print says, "might makes right." If we were to accept this logic, where would it end? China could make claims on Mongolia. India could decide it has rights to parts of Nepal or Bhutan. The United States could argue its demographic weight gives it a claim on Canadian resources. It's a recipe for global anarchy, not a legal argument. Eritrea's existence as a nation isn't some historical accident. It was won through a 30-year war of liberation and is fully recognized under international law. Its borders and its control over its own coastline are not up for debate, no matter how many people live next door. To frame Eritrea's sovereignty as an obstacle to Ethiopia's interest is to fundamentally deny Eritrea's right to even exist as an independent country. Now, let's get to the most direct part of the statement. The Field Marshal declared that Ethiopia will get access to the sea this way or other way. Let's be perfectly clear. This is an unambiguous threat of force. It completely dismisses the normal, peaceful ways countries handle these issues. All over the world, landlocked nations use the ports of their neighbors through commercial agreements. It's standard practice. Think of Switzerland using ports in Italy and Germany, or Austria using ports across Europe. These countries don't threaten to invade their neighbors. They sign deals. By rejecting this path in favor of a threat, Ethiopia's military leadership is signaling that they are willing to use coercion and violence to get what they want. For a nation like Eritrea, which fought for its very survival against overwhelming odds to gain its independence, this language is not an abstract political debate. It is a direct existential threat from a neighbor with a vastly larger population and military. This kind of rhetoric does something else that is incredibly dangerous. It prepares the Ethiopian public for war. It paints a potential invasion not as a brutal act of aggression, but as a righteous campaign to take something they are supposedly entitled to. This is a classic playbook move used by states to build support at home before launching an attack on another country. It's manufacturing consent for conflict. And this brings us to the darkest and most critical point of this analysis. The rhetoric being used contains terrifying precursors to the kind of language that has historically been used to justify mass atrocities, including ethnic cleansing and genocide. While a formal legal determination of genocide requires a high bar of proof, the warning signs are flashing red. Let's look at two key elements. First, dehumanization. When you argue that the rights of a small population are illogical and shameful obstacles to the ambitions of a larger one, you are diminishing the humanity of that smaller group. You're reframing Eritreans not as citizens of a sovereign nation with inalienable rights, but as inconvenient objects standing in the way of progress. History shows us, time and again, that stripping a group of its humanity is often the very first step toward justifying violence against them. Second, this is an existential framing. By presenting sea access as a life or death issue for Ethiopia, the rhetoric simultaneously paints Eritrea's control of its own coast as a direct threat to Ethiopia's survival. This creates a dangerous zero-sum game. For us to live, they must give up their rights, or perhaps even their existence as a sovereign state. The emotionally charged words used, shameful, illogical, not fair, are designed to portray Eritrea not as a neighboring country, but as an unjust impediment in Ethiopia's national story. This narrative of victimhood and grievance, especially when wielded by a larger nation against a much smaller neighbor, is a deeply disturbing historical pattern. It's the same logic used to justify invasions and territorial annexations throughout history, often with devastating consequences for civilian populations. So what is the way forward? As the host nation of the African Union, Ethiopia has a unique responsibility to uphold the very principles of peace, sovereignty, and international law that the AU stands for. The rhetoric from its top military commander does the exact opposite. It champions a dangerous form of expansionism that could easily plunge the entire Horn of Africa into a new and devastating conflict. The solution to Ethiopia's economic needs is not to violate Eritrea's sovereignty. The solution is robust diplomacy and economic cooperation. As we've said, commercial port agreements are the global standard. They don't require redrawing maps or starting wars. The international community cannot afford to be silent. The world must unequivocally condemn this dangerous rhetoric. The core principles of both the United Nations and the African Union charters must be loudly and clearly reaffirmed. National borders are sacred. The sovereignty of all nations is equal, regardless of their size, and all disputes must be resolved through peaceful diplomacy, not threats of violence. To stay silent in the face of such language is to give tacit approval to a worldview that could unleash catastrophic violence. It would signal that the legal norms that have maintained a fragile global peace are now up for grabs. The stakes are simply too high for inaction. It's crucial that these conversations happen and that we hold leaders accountable for their words. If you found this analysis valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more in-depth discussions on global affairs. Thank you for watching. Stay informed and stay engaged.